तं देशिकेन्द्रं परमं पवित्रं विश्वस्य पालं मधुरं यतीन्द्रं हिताय नृणां नरमूर्तिमन्तं विवेक आनन्दम् अहं नमामि. To that teacher of teachers, supremely pure, the guardian of the world, the sweet one, the prince of yogis, who took up the human form for the good of mankind. To that Vivekananda, we offer our salutations. I offer my humble pranams and regards to revered Swami Kamalasthanandaji Maharaj, Principal, Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda Centenary College, Rahura, revered Swami Narasimhanandaji Maharaj, Secretary, Ramakrishna Mission Shevastram, Kozhikode, and revered Swami Ekachittanandaji Maharaj, Principal, Ramakrishna Mission Vidya Mandira, Belur Math. My loving namaskar to dear Swami Vedanuraganandaji Maharaj, Controller of Examinations, Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Centenary College, Rahura. I also extend my best wishes and heartfelt greetings to all dear students, scholars, and admirers of Swami Vivekananda. It is really very nice to see this type of national webinar on such a topic as the philosophy of education and Swami Vivekananda. It is more meaningful right now because we are under the process of implementing new education policy 2020. When we go through the NEP, we are convinced that an honest endeavor has been made to envision an India-centric education system. Substantial ideas have been taken from the Indian philosophical thought, and particularly we say from Swami Vivekananda's books. In the preamble of the draft NEP that was published 1 year before in 2019, the chairperson of the committee mentions the words of Swami Vivekananda. I should quote, "Education is not the amount of information that we put into your brain and runs riot there undigested all your life. We must have life building, man making, character making, assimilation of ideas. If you have assimilated 5 ideas and made them your life and character, you have more education than any man who has got by heart a whole library. If education is identical with information, the libraries are the greatest sages of the world and encyclopedia are the greatest rishis." Unquote. It is really very satisfying to all of us to see our policymakers imbibing Swami Vivekananda's ideas. Really, it is very nice. Well, today my topic of discussion is educational philosophy of Swami Vivekananda. This is indeed very vast and elaborate subject. I would humbly try to present briefly the main ideas as per my own impression and understanding. Swami Vivekananda, a very brief life of 39 years 5 months and 23 days in the earthly frame. But he used to call himself a voice without a form. He wrote this in a letter to one of his brother disciples. I am a voice without a form. The voice we understand. This is the voice of freedom, of strength, of manliness. This is the voice of immense human possibilities, of patriotism, of national integration. And above all, this is the voice of spiritual evolution, the ultimate one. Without form signifies eternal, absolute, or universal. Without form means without frontiers. The message we get from him is the echo of India's age-old spiritual and philosophical truths. That is why without form. And this is the reason why Rabindranath Tagore wrote to another Nobel laureate, Roma Rolla, if you want to know India, study Vivekananda. In him, everything is positive and nothing negative. We should also hear from Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, and E.P. Chelyushev, renowned Indologist from Russia. Nehru writes, rooted in the past and full pride in India's prestige, Vivekananda was yet modern in his approach to life's problems and was a kind of bridge between the past of India and her present, and at the same time full of a dynamic and fiery energy and a passion to push India forward. Unquote. In the same tone, Chelyushev also finds, quote, many years will pass, many generations will come and go. Vivekananda and his time will become distant past, but never will there fade the memory of the man who all his life dreamed of a better future for his people, who did so much to awaken his compatriots and move India forward. Unquote. As Swami Vivekananda is a voice without a form, he could safely proclaim, quote, the spiritual impact that has come to Belur Math will last 1500 years, and it will be a great university. Do not think I imagine it, I see it. We should mention that Belur Math is the central monastery of the Ramakrishna order of monks established by Swami Vivekananda himself. Swamiji envisioned that Belur Math would be a center of great harmony and synthesis, not only of all religious beliefs and traditions, but also of arts and sciences and various branches of knowledge, both secular and spiritual. Much before going to the West, Vivekananda pointed out, we want Western science coupled with Vedanta, Brahmacharya as the guiding motto, and also Shraddha and faith in one's own self. More than a century ago, Vivekananda said that it was his dream to bring science and technology in India. We know he inspired Maharaja of Khetri and his Indian disciples to learn Western science and technology. That is for India's welfare. Even before Swami Vivekananda entered the Parliament of Religions, he was appealing to the Americans for helping India with science and technology for elevating the condition of the masses. During the trip to Chicago in 1893, Jamshedji Tata was also traveling with Swamiji on the same ship from Yokohama to Vancouver. Swamiji asked Jamshedji for what mission he was traveling. Jamshedji said that he wanted to bring steel industry to India. Swami Vivekananda blessed him, but suggested that he should not only bring the technology, but also try to build material science within the country. Jamshedji crossed Atlantic Ocean, talked to Americans, and brought manufacturing technology for steel. Tata Steel was established in Jamshedpur. But Jamshedji never forgot the advice of the Swami. 5 years later, in 1898, he wrote a letter to Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji's influence on Tata was so strong that he has asked a spiritual leader like him to take the leadership of a research institute for science in India. It was not possible for Swamiji to get involved with this project during that time, but we can see he always took interest in such works. His disciples were in touch with Jamshedji, and finally, the Indian Institute of Science was formally inaugurated in Bangalore in 1909. But yes, we should never forget Swami Vivekananda's prescription of Western science coupled with Vedanta. Science with Vedanta. And that is the specialty why we should come to Swami Vivekananda to guide us. We will try to understand the Vedanta aspect right now as propounded by Swami Vivekananda. If we see the present scenario in the very grassroots level, the majority of the students today do not have a higher purpose of life. They are not taught to think beyond personal profit, money making, power grabbing, and sensuous enjoyments. Guardians inspire their sons and daughters towards individualistic gain and success. Yes, hard competitions are there. Teachers and coaching institutions also help to make them selfish giants with no concern for higher values. But after being successful in this highly competitive society, somehow they feel they are not able to enjoy the life in a balanced manner. Outwardly, they may have attained all materialistic comforts, but in the inner world, they feel a deep void, frustration, purposelessness. The education they got throughout their lives taught them perfecting 3 aims: materials, methods, and materials. It is necessary for smooth management. But another aim, man, that is often left behind. They were never told about man-making and character-building education. That is the reason they became political animals, as Aristotle defined it, biological animals, as Freud saw it, tool-making animals, as Benjamin Franklin defined, or economic animals, as Alvin Toffler called man. In the mainframe of education system, the spiritual and ethical elements are very much to be incorporated. The art and science of internal growth, spiritual perfection, holistic development, etc., are also to be included in the educational pedagogy. The goal of today's education should be to make the complete man and woman. The physical, intellectual, emotional, and ethical integration of the individual into a complete man or woman should be the broad definition of the fundamental aim of education. The idea of lifelong education should be based on 4 pillars. One UNESCO report shows it. 4 pillars: learning to be, learning to know, learning to do, and learning to live together. Without this learning to be, we are nowhere. And that is absent many times. Learning to know, learning to do, it's okay. Learning to live together, to somewhat extent we know. But now they are very much after learning to be. Swamiji is telling, education is being and becoming. Without this learning to be, we are nowhere. And here begins the educational philosophy of Swami Vivekananda. A human being is a compound of animality, humanity, and divinity, said Swami Vivekananda. The aim of education, according to him, should be to help man and woman grow from the animal to the divine state through self-effort, self-realization, and proper training. The Western concept of education accepted the mind of the child learner as a blank slate on which impression could be made by the teachers through their teachings. This blank slate, who has done the B.Ed course, they should know, this blank slate has been termed as tabula rasa in Latin. But the Vedantic vision of education takes a directly opposite view. According to Vedanta, every child is a repository of all knowledge, purity, perfection, and excellence. The self, the Atman, inside the child, there is a Chit aspect or knowledge absolute. To a world where child is only a Freudian biological animal, Swami Vivekananda's Vedantic vision is really revolutionary. And it is also epoch-making. Swamiji explains his Vedantic vision. Let us hear his original words. I am reading out from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Knowledge is inherent in man. No knowledge comes from outside. It is all inside. What we say a man knows should, in strict psychological language, be what he discovers or unveils. What a man learns is really what he discovers by taking the cover of his soul, which is a mine of infinite knowledge. Swamiji continues, we say Newton discovered gravitation. Was it sitting anywhere in a corner waiting for him? It was in his own mind. The time came and he found it out. All knowledge that the world has ever received comes from the mind. The infinite library of the universe is in your own mind. The external world is simply the suggestion, the occasion, which sets you to study your own mind. But the object of your study is always your own mind. He rearranged all the previous links of thought in his mind and discovered a new link among them, which we call the law of gravitation. It was not in the apple, nor in anything in the center of the earth. Unquote. Infinite library is there in our mind. This is the Vedantic vision. Further, Swamiji says that we cannot teach a child any more than we can grow a plant. The plant develops on its own nature. Nurturing a child is like growing a plant. A sapling will sprout from a tiny seed, and gradually it will become a great banyan tree. We have to arrange for the soil, water, manure, fencing. The tree will grow on its own. For our little children also, it is the same. Vedanta says, within man is all knowledge. These are Swamiji's words. It requires only an awakening. And that much is the work of parents and teachers, the guardians. We have to do only so much for the students that they may learn to apply their own intellect. They may use their organs as they should. And it is these convictions that inspired Swami Vivekananda's well-known definition of education. Education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. Already. Education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. Swami Ranganathananda Ji, the 13th President Maharaj of our Holy Order, he used to call this manifestation of the perfection as a science of human possibilities. What are the possibilities hidden in a newborn baby? Physically it is tender, so weak. A little extra heat or cold can destroy it. But is it all dimensions? Any physical science will say that it is all dimensions. But if we rightly think, there is profound dimension in that little baby. The baby can become a scientist who understands this world and controls its forces. That baby can also become a Buddha. It can realize its own true nature, radiate peace and love and harmony throughout the world. So this is manifestation of the perfection already in man. Swami Vivekananda always maintained that education is not only filling the mind with a lot of facts. Getting mastery over one's own mind is the most important thing. Willpower and concentration are the instruments to acquire knowledge. According to Swami Vivekananda, another definition we get. What is education? Is it book learning? No. Is it diverse knowledge? Not even that. The training by which the current and expression of will are brought under control and become fruitful is called education. For controlling this willpower, concentration of mind is essential. Swamiji explains again. I should read out. To me, the very essence of education is concentration of mind, not the collecting of facts. If I had to do my education over again and had any voice in the matter, I would not study facts at all. I would develop the power of concentration and detachment. And then with a perfect instrument, I could collect facts at will. Another very important aspect that is the hallmark of Swami Vivekananda's philosophy of education is discarding any type of negative mentality. We must give the learners only positive ideas. Negative thoughts we can man. Many times we find parents constantly taxing their sons and daughters with negativity, comparing them with others, humiliating them, calling them fools. Hearing all these, they also lose self-esteem and confidence in later life. And Swamiji points out this. Students should always be encouraged so that they may enjoy the teaching learning process. We should not miss the slightest opportunity for genuine appreciation and recognition of good works of the students. Individuality, another watchword for Swami Vivekananda. In this context, let me recall a letter written by him in which Swamiji wrote about his plans. He envisioned selfless sannyasis growing from village to village, educating people and working to improve their condition. He wrote, "We as a nation have lost our individuality, and that is the cause of all mischief in India. We have to give back to the nation its lost individuality and raise the masses." Swamiji cautions us, do not try to disturb the faith of any man. If you can, give him something better. If you can get hold of a man where he stands and give him a push upwards, do so, but do not destroy what he has. One nice illustration Swamiji gives according to his own experience, and let us hear from him directly. In New York, I used to observe the Irish colonists come, downtrodden, haggard-looking, destitute of all possessions at home, penniless and wooden-headed, with their only belongings, a stick and a bundle of rags hanging at the end of it, fright in their steps, alarm in their eyes. A different spectacle in 6 months. The man walks upright, his attire is changed. In his eyes and steps, there is no more sign of fright. What is the cause? Our Vedanta says that Irishman was kept surrounded by contempt in his own country. The whole of nature was telling him with one voice, "Pat, you have no more hope. You were born a slave and you will remain so." Having been thus told from his birth, Pat believed in it and hypnotized himself that he was a very low, and the Brahman in him shrank away. While no sooner had he landed in America than he heard the shout going up on all sides, "Pat, you are a man as we are. It is man who has done all. A man like you and me can do everything. Have courage." Pat raised his head and saw that it was so. The Brahman within woke up. Nature herself spoke, as it were, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached." So we have to see that through education should come the Shraddha and faith in one's own self. That is Swami Vivekananda's idea. Swami Vivekananda had got elaborate idea regarding mass education and women education. These two aspects were neglected very much during that time. That is why Swamiji repeatedly reminds us that the real nation lives in the cottage, and we have to educate the masses to raise the nation. And in this case, the issue of social justice, as we call it today, is also very prominent in Swamiji's vision. The weaker section of the society should be given more chance than the strong ones. Someone may need one teacher, some may need 10, if he or she was deprived earlier. But the goal is to achieve equality through leveling up, never leveling down, as some socialist philosophy suggests. In this connection, I will just put another aspect. We should mention that Swami Vivekananda's views were somewhat antagonistic, opposite to Darwin's evolution theory. Whatever may happen in the lower strata of nature's evolution, but in the higher strata, Swamiji believed that through concentration and meditation, through proper education and culture, and above all, through sacrifice, not struggling. So, by these things, evolution happens. Lastly, we wish to discuss Swamiji's views about the qualities of a true teacher. One very interesting account about Swamiji we get in the New Discoveries by Mary Louise Bach. Two Harvard students were present in one of the discourses by Swamiji. After the lecture was over, one student told, "I am really disappointed." Why? The second student asked. The first one replied, "Well, we were told that this man was so great, that his ideas were so profound. What makes you to say that ideas are not profound?" asked the other. Now came the astonishing reply, "Because I understood every word he said." And that was the specialty of Swami Vivekananda. He was a born teacher, a world teacher, Vishwaguru. At the very beginning of my talk, the mantra that I uttered also signifies this. Deshikendra, the teacher of teachers. In fact, it was his guru, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna Deva, who, while in his deathbed, empowered Swamiji to teach. He wrote in Bengali, "Naren শিক্ষা দিবে যখন ঘুরে বাহিরে হাঁক দিবে." Naren will teach the world. He will give a clarion call, loud and clear, to the whole world. Narendranath was his pre-monastic name, and Sri Ramakrishna used to call him Naren. So with this authority, Swami Vivekananda characterizes the qualities of a true teacher. The only true teacher is he who can convert himself, as it were, into 1,000 persons at a moment's notice. The only true teacher is he who can immediately come down to the level of the student and transfer his soul to the student's soul and see through the student's eyes and hear through his ears and understand through his mind. Such a teacher can really teach and none else. A Vedantic orientation of the teachers is must. Sri Ramakrishna's Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva, serving Shiva in the living beings, is also applicable to the teachers. A teacher, according to Swami Vivekananda, is a worshipper, and the student is the God worshipped through knowledge. So if this idea comes, miracle will happen. The ultimate dictum comes this from Swamiji. Let us quote him exactly. Bring all light into the world. Light, bring light. Let light come unto everyone. The task will not be finished till everyone has reached the Lord. Bring light to the poor and bring more light to the rich, for they require it more than the poor. Bring light to the ignorant and more light to the educated, for the vanities of the education of our time are tremendous. Thus bring light to all. I offer my salutations to all revered Maharajas and everyone present here listening to this webinar. May Swami Vivekananda be our friend, philosopher and guide. This is our earnest prayer. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Rama Krishnarpanamastu.